Black girls do. I am just setting up the different platforms that I will be broadcasting on. If you have just tuned in on Clubhouse, just to let you know what you tapped into, every Monday I get on here and I teach business and legal concepts using pop culture and celebrity news. So if you're a business owner or you want to be a business owner and you are kind of, you want to know more about the nuts and bolts of running a successful and legitimate business, tune in, okay? And there will be opportunities for you to ask questions. Hello, Instagram. Um, but yeah, that's what we're going to do today. So get comfy, grab a drink, um, grab pen and paper, to catch the little gems of knowledge. Hello, Godmother Kalia. Um, that I will be sharing with y'all. All right. So, and also for those of you who are on Clubhouse, you'll see that linktr.ee/NPL Consulting Firm is pinned to the top. That is where you can find any and everything having to do with my business. There are some free downloads, there's access to my digital content, things like that. But I will go over all of that in a little bit. Hello, Mahogany Joy. We are getting started officially at 8:05, so be sure to invite your friends in here. Anyone who is, interested in starting a business or who has started a business and, wants to really push to the next level and understand what it takes to run a business besides, social media and a Cash App account. If you're trying to get your products into big box stores, if you're trying to build business credit, if you're trying to, get trademarks and copyrights and things, you want to be in this room, okay? Yes. Ooh, y'all, my nose is running, and I don't know why. I haven't even been outside all day. Yes, but we have tons of stories that we're going to talk about today. Rolex. We're going to talk about Rolex. Instagram is having issues with another app. Y'all who, like your cocktails, there's a story for you. People in the DMV area, we are talking about the new football team name. We are also talking about a movie that Apple is going to be opposing. A warning for all of you hosting Super Bowl parties. And there is an interesting story about the movie Ice Age. I just watched the latest one on Disney Plus, and there's something interesting in there that I think you all should know. So, we're going to start in a couple more minutes and get everything going. I'm going to give my intro for those of you who might be new to me and are kind of wondering who I am. And we're going to have a good time, okay? So invite your friends, anybody who likes to hear celebrity news or likes to learn new things or who's in business and wants to, really up their business knowledge. Come join your girl. We've got about 60 seconds before we start. I'm getting my audio recording device ready. Y'all, I am broadcasting on multiple platforms right now. I am on Facebook and YouTube, Instagram, and Clubhouse. Plus, I'm recording the audio to release on my podcast. So I'm a one person studio up in here, okay? I'm production, I'm talent, I'm what is it? What you call them people? Director, producer, editor. It's a lot going on here, but I love it. Okay, and we are going to get started very, very shortly. So hang in there with me, okay? All right. Oh, I love seeing all the people in Clubhouse. We're going to have such a great time. I cannot wait. All right, we are starting right now, okay? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to NPL Legal Dish. This is my Monday broadcast where I teach business and legal concepts using pop culture and celebrity news. If this is your first time hearing me speak, or if you're watching and you're like, who is this lady? I'm Natalie Pierre Lewis. I'm the host of the show, and I'm the owner and operator of NPL Consulting LLC, a business formation firm. What that means is I help people like yourself get your business paperwork together. So things like making sure you have your articles of incorporation, getting your EIN numbers and DUNS numbers, making sure you have contracts for clients and partners, protecting your intellectual property, meaning like trademarks, copyrights, and patents, and hiring and training strategies so that you don't get sued for discrimination. I help you do all of these things and more. If you're wondering why I'm qualified to help you do these things, I'm very happy that you asked. I'm a licensed attorney. I have been one for 15 years and counting. I've started multiple businesses for myself and others, both online and offline. I've had many careers in the realms of entrepreneurship, the law, education, hospitality, and administrative support. And most important, I'm very passionate about making business and legal education as accessible to everyone as possible. Not everybody has the time, the money, or the desire to go to business school or to law school, but a lot of you have amazing business ideas. And if you're going to be successful, there are just some things that you need to know. There's no way around it. So that is why I'm here. So this is a time for you to ask your questions and give comments. Um, you know, um, and ask those questions when I give the section for that. So if you're in the startup phase of your business and you don't necessarily want to ask here, but you want to talk to me one-on-one, I definitely encourage you guys to do that. You can connect with me at linktr.ee/NPL Consulting Firm. It's pinned to the room, the top of the room on Clubhouse. It's on the only link in my bio on Instagram. It's all over Facebook and YouTube, okay? That is where you can book a free 15-minute consultation if you are a first-time client. You can also download my free Biz Launch cheat sheet. It's basically a checklist that kind of gives you a starting point for the things that you need to accomplish to legitimize your business, okay? So make sure that you check those out. They're completely free to download. Linktree/NPL Consulting Firm is also where you can access many of my digital products. I have a lot of video trainings on different aspects of business formation. You can also subscribe to my social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, all of that. Anything having to do with NPL Consulting, you can find at linktree/NPL Consulting Firm, okay? And this month in particular, we are focusing on, the different numbers that you need for your business. We're focusing on EIN numbers, DUNS numbers. We're going to talk a little bit about EIN numbers in a couple of minutes, okay? So that is the business side. Now let's get to the reason why we're here. This is how the show works. I pull stories from the news, stories from blog sites, stories that you guys send to me in my DMs. And I choose the ones that have lessons that we can learn as business owners, and we talk about them, okay? So this is a time for you to get involved, ask your questions, give me your comments. As long as they're respectful. This is a conversation, okay? As we are learning. Don't feel like you have to stay quiet. If you've got a question on Clubhouse, about what we're talking about, raise your hand, and I will get to you as soon as I can. And you guys watching on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, you know the deal. Write your questions in the boxes, and I will answer it as soon as I can. All right. But yeah, so I think I have covered my whole intro, so you know what's happening now. So we are going to get the show started. The first thing we are going to start with is our NPL Nugget. If you don't know what an NPL Nugget is, it is just a quick lesson that I teach at the top of the show on the topic that we're covering for the month. Like I said just a couple of minutes ago, we are covering the numbers that you need for your business. Last week we talked about EIN numbers for a little bit. Today we're going to close it out. I just wanted to let you know some facts about an EIN number, okay? So first thing you need to know is that you can apply for one EIN number a day, okay? So I know a lot of you guys have amazing business ideas. You may want to start 1, 2, 3, 4 businesses, but you can't get all the EIN numbers on one day. You can apply for one every day. And there are specific times that you can apply. You can apply between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. No, you cannot do it on the weekends, okay? And last but not least, EIN numbers are free. The actual numbers are free. There are I think I told you guys this last week, there are attorneys out here that are charging anywhere between 75 and 125,000 125,000 75 and $125 to get you an EIN number, and they're not teaching you the process of how to apply for one. An EIN number is completely free. So if you know the information that you need, you can just go online and do it yourself, and you'll actually find the address for that in my cheat sheet. If you download it, it's in the back. But if you don't know how to apply for one, I do have a training where I teach you how to go through the application and file it yourself, because most entrepreneurs are going to start many businesses, with in their lifetime. So, I'd rather if you're going to pay for it, pay for someone to teach you how to do it so that you can do it on your own next time. Okay. And that's available at linktr.ee/nplconsultingfirm. All right, now let's get to the reason why we're here. We are getting to our stories, all right? Okay, our first story tonight is for my watch lovers. Anybody out here, if you own a Rolex or you plan on owning a Rolex in the future, give me a watch emoji. If you're into Rolexes on Clubhouse, just raise your hand real quick. I'm not going to bring you up on stage. I'm just trying to see who's part of Rolex gang, okay? Okay, hold on. Oh no, you just raising your hand. Thank you, the Duchess. The Duchess likes, what you call that? Rolexes. All right. And Rolexes, they're very expensive watches. I think they start at like $10,000. I actually don't know. I'm not a watch person, so I don't really care. But Rolex is very particular about, their Rolex trademark and who can sell Rolexes. They have dedicated outlets where you can purchase Rolexes. You can't just pick it up anywhere. But not only is it a matter of, a licensed seller, even refurbished Rolexes, Rolex is really proprietary about. So there is a company called Becker Time, all right? They sell refurbished Rolex watches. So, they'll maybe, buy a broken Rolex watch, and they will, take it to their shop and they'll fix it, however they fix it. And, you have a refurbished Rolex watch. Not as expensive as, a brand new Rolex, but it works and it says Rolex on it, right? Not only are they selling refurbished Rolexes, they are marketing themselves as certified Rolex watchmakers, okay? The problem is this company, Becker Time, is not affiliated with Rolex in any way. They don't have any deal with them to sell refurbished Rolexes. They are not an official Rolex watchmaker. Rolex did not, give them some type of certification that allows them to make Rolexes. In fact, they're so not affiliated with Rolexes that on the Becker Time website, they're telling you, look, these are not, genuine from the factory Rolexes. These are Rolexes that we fixed, and we don't have any affiliation with the company Rolex, right? But that wasn't enough for Rolex. Rolex said, look, you are selling watches based on the fact that they have our name on them, okay? And you're selling them with different parts. Rolex is very particular about the parts that they use. They're like the screws, the bolts, whatever you make, whatever you put in a watch to make it work. They're like, we have specific parts as a Rolex brand, and you, Becker Time, are not using those specific parts because you're not a recognized Rolex seller. So Rolex sued in court to have Becker Time stop holding themselves out as a certified Rolex watchmaker, and also to make them stop promoting their business using the Rolex name, right? Becker Time was trying to claim fair use. They're like, look, we bought these watches fair and square, and there's the fair use doctrine. They're like, we bought it, we can do what we want with it, right? But the court did not agree with Becker Time. The court said, look, the draw to your business is that you're selling people Rolexes at a discounted price. The draw isn't your watchmaking skills. The draw is the Rolex. So the court actually sided with Rolex and told Becker Time, you can no longer hold yourselves out as a certified Rolex watchmaker, and you have to stop advertising these Rolexes because that's what's bringing in the business. So when I tell you guys that your name is really important out here in these streets, trademarks are important. I'm not kidding. Like, think about this. If you were looking for, a designer watch, everybody likes a good deal. If you found out there was a business that was selling, Rolex watches for 75, 50% off, maybe 25% off, right? And they're genuine Rolex watches, you would probably want to buy a Rolex watch from there if you were into Rolexes, right? And that's the problem for Rolex. Rolex is like, we don't want people buying, off brand or second, what do you call them? I don't know. Refurbished things, because we have a certain quality that we want for our watches, and we have certain vendors that we use to sell it. So Rolex said no more using our name Becker Time. So when you guys are out here, if you guys are selling things that are other brands or high-end brands, you need to be careful how you're using their name, because if you're not affiliated with them, there could be trouble for you. Okay. All right. Like I was just reading a story before I got on here that they just seized what $16 million in counterfeit goods out in Memphis, okay? Like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all of this, right? The reason why these busts are really important is because think about if a person, purchased this item thinking it was genuine, and then you go into the store and they're like, "Girl, this is fake." Right? So, making sure that names are used properly and with permission. Yes, Celeste. Wow, it's really important. Okay. All right. So, first, any questions on that first story? If you have questions on if you have questions on Clubhouse, raise your hand. If you have questions on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, write them in. Let me know what you think about Rolex versus Becker Time. Did the court get it right? Was Becker Time basically riding Rolex's coattails? What do you guys think about that? Okay. I'm going to give you guys like 30 seconds to do that before we go into our second story. Anybody on Clubhouse want to come up on the stage and give me your opinion on Rolex? It's okay if you don't. I understand. Um, all right. So moving on to our next story of the evening. Now, all of you, whether you're whatever social media platform you are watching me on, you are 99.99% of you probably have an Instagram account, right? Actually, if you don't have an Instagram account, if you do not have an Instagram account, raise your hand or write something to me in Facebook or YouTube. You can't tell me you don't have an Instagram account if you're watching me on Instagram, so don't even try it. But yes, if you are on Clubhouse, Facebook, or YouTube and you do not have an Instagram account, let me know. I want to know who's out here, Hey, Tanya, I want to know who's out here without an Instagram account. I doubt it, right? But Instagram has become a very prominent social media tool, and they again, like any other brand, they are very protective of their name. But sometimes brands, when they're trying to protect their name, they can go a little bit overboard. And I want to know from you whether you think that this is a little bit overboard. Okay, so just like Instagram. They've been around for a while. The name is known. Everybody's doing it for the gram, and whatever, right? But there are other apps out there that try to use, either Insta or Gram, and Instagram usually tries to go after them. In this case, I want to know if you think that going after this company was a smart idea, or if Instagram was doing too much. A man by the name of Timothy Cody, he developed an app that I'm going to compare it to like a GoFundMe. It's an app where you can create and invest in causes, right? So somebody might say, I don't know, I'm raising money for an orphanage out in, I don't know, Central America. And if you want, you can invest in it or you can ask for things. So he was creating or is creating his own fundraising app, and he named it Prayergram. So like you pray, to whatever deity you subscribe to. He called his app Prayergram. And Instagram is having issues with the name. They're saying that if the USPTO allows Timothy Cody to trademark this name for his app Prayergram, that it will cause confusion. Duchess, do you have a question? I'm sorry. I see a hand raised, and I want to make sure that okay, nobody raised their hand. All right, my bad. Yes. So Instagram is saying, look, if you allow Prayergram to secure this name, it's going to cause confusion and people are going to think that it is affiliated with Instagram. So now there has been no conclusion of this yet. They are just, getting into this. I think they sent a cease and desist. They may be starting to file the legal paperwork. But what do you think about this? Is there a possibility of confusion between Instagram? Tanya said like angel investing. Yes, like angel investing or like a GoFundMe, Tanya. Okay. So I want to know from you guys, do you think that there is a possibility of confusion between Instagram and Prayergram? Is Instagram, just zealously protecting their mark, or are they doing too much? Mahogany Joy said that IG is doing too much. It's me, Celeste, said absolutely not. My Clubhouse friends, what do y'all think? Do you think that Instagram is right to to go after Prayergram, or are they just are they doing too much? Tanya said, what? No confusion to me. Mahogany Joy said, this all started with the Telegram. It did. Celeste said, no one will confuse that. Instagram is forcing it. Okay, so my IG people and my Facebook people, they are saying that there is no confusion for them and that Instagram is just doing too much. Clubhouse, if you think that Instagram is doing too much, even if you don't want to come on stage, just raise your hand. I won't bring you on. If you think Instagram is doing too much, raise your hand just real quick and then, take away your raised hand just so I can get a count here. All right. All right. But yeah, I think that Instagram is doing a little too much here too. You don't own the word gram. You just don't. And Prayergram, it's completely different from what Instagram does. Their trademarks would be in two different categories. Instagram is a social media app for people to, share photos and, I don't know, meet each other, whatever. Prayergram is to raise funds for causes and charitable and charitable things, right? So I just don't think that there is a possibility of confusion there, and a lot of you seem to agree with me. Tanya said exactly, Telegram was first. Okay, Mahogany and Tanya are on the same wavelength here. All right. Okay. So good luck to Prayergram. Before we move on to our next story, I want to remind you guys who may have just come in that you are watching NPL Legal Dish. This is my Monday broadcast where I teach business and legal concepts using pop culture and celebrity news. If you are in the startup phase of your business and you are looking for some legal guidance, it can be a little tricky trying to get the business off the ground. I want to help you. I'm a licensed attorney with a passion for helping entrepreneurs and small business owners. So book your free 15-minute consultation with me if you're a first-time client. Go to linktr.ee/nplconsultingfirm. I can't wait to hear from you, okay? All right, moving on to our next story. If you are in the DMV area, give me a star emoji if you're watching and just raise your hand real quick on Clubhouse if you're listening. Okay. Awesome. Celeste said, yes, I booked. So great. Started LLC same day. Awesome. Aw, thanks. Celeste said she's grateful for me. I'm grateful for you too, doll. I can't wait to do your podcast. All right. So if you're in the DMV, give me a star emoji or just raise your hand on Clubhouse. And if you're a football fan, give me a football emoji. Now, this story has come up a few times on the roster. DC's football team, formerly known by a racist slur, they decided to change their name, and for a little over a year, maybe two. How long have they been? They've been calling themselves the Washington Football Team. I think it's maybe been a year. Um, they were literally just calling themselves the Washington Football Team. Thank you for the football emoji. Well, thank you, Tanya, for the football emoji. Well, the Reds, the formerly known as the Redskins, formerly known as the Washington Football Team, has finally chosen a new name. Uh, for their team, and they are now called the Washington Commanders. Smoggy Joy said, "I'm still somewhat with the NFL." So the former Washington football team is now called the Washington Commanders. Now, a lot of people aren't necessarily happy about this change, but it's way better than what the team was first called. And at least more interesting than the Washington Football Team, right? But I was reading an interesting article that said that there is going to be, a lot of hurdles to get around for merchandise, right? And then I was thinking about it. This team has undergone 2 name changes, right? And then you have people who are probably diehard fans of the former name. So the old merchandise with the old name of the teams, it's probably going to be worth a lot of money because they're going to become vintage, right? So even if a name isn't being used anymore, it can still bring you in some money. And it was just a thought that I had that I thought was interesting and I wanted to share with y'all. Tanya said Redskins have been around since I was younger. Yes, and they have not been to the Super Bowl in quite a long time. All right. But in terms of the Washington football team, this was something that had to be done, should have been done long ago. And now they're going to have to switch over their logos again, their merch again. So it is going to be a cost, but if you've got old Washington football team merch, or you've got the racial slur merch, it's probably going to bring you some money, going on down the road. So keep it down. Just because the trademarks aren't necessarily being used doesn't mean that you can't make money off of them. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. All right. I've got a quick pop quiz for y'all. If you're on Clubhouse, I want somebody to volunteer to come on stage to do this. And if you're on the viewing platforms, just write it in the box. Hold on a second. Tanya said, I'm a Cowboy fan and Redskins and Steelers were our arch enemies. I know the Redskins can't stand the Cowboys. Or the Commanders, I should say. The Commanders can't stand the Cowboys. So I want you guys, either in the comment box or if on Clubhouse, if you want to come up on stage, to tell me all of the domain endings that you have heard of. When I say domain endings, like when you go to a website, like Gmail, you go to gmail.com or, uspto.gov or redcross.org, right? So they have that dot and then the 3 letters in the back. I want you to name some of the ones that you know. I've seen some ones like .tv, I've seen .me. I've seen a lot of these ends. Okay, so Tanya's giving me .org, .com, .biz. Yes, there is .biz. Does anybody want to come up on stage on Clubhouse and give me some? Celeste said .net. C4C Global said .io. Yes, .io is when it's not come out yet. We've got .co. So there are a lot of these out there, right? And these .ca, thank you so much. These endings, they kind of tell you what this website, what this organization is about. If it's a .com, it's probably, a for-profit business. If it's a .org, it's probably a nonprofit institution. If it's .io, it's usually a website that hasn't been made open to the public yet. Usually these endings, they give you a clue as to what is going on with this entity that has this domain name, right? Well, and domain names can be registered, but recently a domain name was rejected. A company called Vox, they tried to register .sucks as as the domain ending. So instead of being like, gmail.com, it would be gmail.sucks, or redcross.com would be redcross.sucks, right? And they tried to register this as a trademark. And the Celeste is laughing. Tanya said, so should I change mine from .org? Not necessarily. Hey, Jada. Right. So they tried to trademark .sucks, and the USPTO said no. Why do you think the USPTO said no? Who wants to be Clubhouse? Come on, y'all. Don't be shy. I'm here. I don't bite. I promise. Come on up. Who has a guess as to why the USPTO rejected .sucks? Anybody have a guess? It's me, Celeste said, nope, not because of kids. Actually, we talked about this a couple of years ago. The Supreme Court said that you cannot reject a trademark filing just because it's either obscene or, distasteful. So there was a guy who was trying to register a clothing line, and he called it fucked. And he initially got rejected, but they went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, look, just because we don't like it doesn't mean that they can't that they can't register it. So it's not because of kids, it's not because of censorship. It's because like I said a few minutes ago, when you have these endings, the .com, the .org, the .io, the .net, the .ca, it tells you what the source is, whether it be a company, whether it be a country. Like when you go to websites outside of the country, usually the ending will be, 2 letters representing the country. Hi, 916 Casino Wins. The USPTO said, look, your .sucks domain ending, that doesn't tell me what the organization does. It doesn't give me an idea of what you guys are doing, whether you're a company, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're, just coming out, whether you're a different company. .sucks does not tell me what the source is of this entity. So they rejected the .sucks domain name or domain ending. I just thought that was super funny. But do know that just because that having an obscene or a distasteful trademark is not going to bar you from getting it. The Supreme Court has said just because we don't like it doesn't mean that you can't trademark it, essentially. Okay? All right. So, what was that? We talked about the Washington football team. We talked about .sucks. Okay. So I said, okay. I'm glad that you understand, doll. All right. Moving on to a little company that some of y'all might have heard of. If you've heard of a little company called Apple, please give me an Apple emoji. If you're, if you've got any Apple products, give me an Apple emoji. If Clubhouse, just raise your hand so I can see whose team, Apple. Because this, I have an iPhone, okay, and I have a Mac. But let me tell you that when Apple got me kicking and screaming because I avoided it. I avoided the Apple cult for the longest time because I was like, these people, they're I mean, while, their business model is brilliant, I was like, I will not be sucked into the Apple cult. But I do have an iPhone and I do have a Mac, right? Tanya said iPads, true, Android, right? And Apple has has trademarks for tons of things, right? Tons of things. But Apple's trademarks are for usually for tech, right? Um, but Apple has been known to go after other brands. Earlier, was it last year or a few months ago, we talked about an issue where Apple was going after a recipe app that was called Prepare, and they were going after Prepare because they said that their logo of a pear with a bite out of it was too similar to Apple's apple with a bite out of it. Okay, so Apple is they very zealously try to defend their mark. They didn't win that one. There was a compromise, but whatever. Anyway, there is an indie filmmaker. His name is Vasyl Moskalenko. Okay. Mahogany Joy said, I haven't had an iPhone since the 4S. I'm only getting one when I have my business set up. Celeste said, OMG. Mahogany Joy said, wow, that's so petty. Yes, right? So there's an indie filmmaker. His name is Vasyl Moskalenko. I don't know where he's from. I'm assuming he's from, like, Eastern Europe. He made a movie called Apple Man. And it's about a superhero who is part man, part apple, and can levitate apples. Okay? So, pretty self-explanatory superhero. He's part apple, he is part man, and he can levitate apples. Sounds like Vaseline. What do you mean, like Vaseline? Mahogany Joy said, what? Steve Jobs would never. Anyway, so Vasyl is making this movie, and he goes to trademark the movie name. Apple is opposing Vasyl's trademark application for the movie. They're saying that there is a possibility that people will think that Apple Man, the movie, is affiliated with Apple, the technology brand. So I want to know from you guys, is Apple just zealously defending their brand, or are they being petty? Are they doing too much? What is going on? Mahogany Joy said it has nothing to do with Apple products. OMG. Right. There is such, Tanya said his name? Oh, no, his name is Vasyl, Tanya. It is crazy, but when you have a trademark, it is your job to zealously defend your mark. But what you don't want to do is become a trademark bully. There is such a thing as trademark bullying, where bigger brands will, use the fact that they have a lot more money to kind of push around smaller brands. So Apple is opposing this trademark application for the Apple Man movie, even though it has nothing to do with Apple technologies. The filmmaker himself, he's like, I don't even own an iPhone or a Mac. This has nothing to do with Apple. Somebody please help me. So I'm hoping the best for Mr. Moskalenko, and that, Apple gets off his back. Yes, Tanya, that is too much. Mahogany said, true, it's a fruit first. It is a fruit first. But Apple still, sometimes they just want to, throw their weight around. And I think that's what's happening here. Okay? All right. Next. So we had a story not too long ago about football, okay? A lot of you will probably be watching the game. Some of you may be going out to watch the game. Some of you may be going to Super Bowl parties. But I want you to pay attention to how commercials refer to the Super Bowl, okay? Okay. With the Super Bowl. When you see, unless they are directly sponsoring the Super Bowl, like Pepsi or something like that, you will not hear a company use the term Super Bowl, because the term Super Bowl is trademarked. What they will call it is the big game, or they will call it, or they'll call, they usually call it the big game. But when you if you are trying to host a Super Bowl event, when is the Super Bowl? Next Sunday, whenever. And if you are charging money Make sure that you do not use the name Super Bowl because that is trademark infringement, okay? People pay a lot of money to be able to say that they are sponsors of the Super Bowl, and you don't want to get, a lawsuit from the NFL saying run us our dough because you had a Super Bowl party and made a couple $1,000s. All right. Hey, Frosted Pleasure. Okay. All right. And then the last story we're going to cover tonight, because I have an emergency. Yeah. So if you're having a Super Bowl party, Tanya, and let's say you're charging people $20 to get in, don't call it a Super Bowl party. Call it a big game party. Okay. And our last story. The name of this show this week is called Get Your Hands Off My Sqrat. Okay. Actually, guys, give me 1 second. Sorry, Tanya. Give me an emoji if you've seen Ice Age, or raise your hand on Clubhouse if you've seen Ice Age. Thank you, Celeste. If you've seen the movie Ice Age, you know that at the beginning there is a little creature who's always like chasing after acorns, right? And I asked you guys, um, hi. I asked you guys in my stories yesterday if you knew what the name of that creature was, and nobody knew his name. But if you didn't know, his name is Sqrat. He's the guy who's like, he doesn't talk in the movie, but he always like he has like he's chasing after an acorn. I think he falls in love with the acorn at one point, right? Who knows? If you know what I'm talking about, raise your hand. That creature, right? Um, if you know what I'm talking about, raise your give me a raised hand emoji. What now Sqrat has been, apparently there have been six Ice Age movies, and Sqrat has been in all of them except for this last one. Why has Sqrat not been in this last one? You may not know this, but Sqrat, the ownership over Sqrat has been it has been a point of contention for over 20 years. Sqrat was the movie Ice Age was originally created by a production company called Blue Sky, right? And Mahogany Joy said he did. Um, Blue Sky was purchased by Disney in 2019. But they came out with Ice Age in apparently 1999. But this woman by the name of Ivy Silberstein, she basically proved that she owned the character Sqrat. She said that she created him. She said that she created him, and he was originally named Sqrat. He's a mix between a squirrel and a rat, right? So Ivy, she had been fighting with Blue Sky since 2002 over ownership over this character. So her and Blue Sky, they were going at it, but then and it was ruled that they had co-ownership. So they had equal ownership over the character Sqrat. But when Blue Sky was purchased by Disney, and not even then, even after the ruling, Ivy was like, no equal partners. That's my character. I'm getting it back. And she kept fighting. So when Blue Sky was purchased by Disney, Ivy continued her campaign and she won against Disney. And now she has sole ownership over Sqrat. Disney tried to negotiate with her, but either they didn't, give her enough money, or she just doesn't want her creature associated with Ice Age. So if you watch the most recent Ice Age, which is now on Disney Plus, there is no Sqrat in that movie. I actually just watched it yesterday. There's no Sqrat in that movie because Disney no longer has ownership over the creature named Sqrat in the Ice Age film. So this is why intellectual property is important. Because think about it. Let's say Disney's like, you know what? We cannot do this movie without Sqrat. Let's say they want to do Ice Age 7 and they're like, we need to bring Sqrat back. Ivy, what's it gonna take for you to give us Sqrat to use, right? They're gonna have to come off a bag. So that's why intellectual property is very, very important. And Ivy, but it may not even be that about Ivy, because I'm sure Disney probably offered her some good money. For her, I think it's just the fact that she wanted her stuff back with her. She's like, this is mine. Y'all have had it for over 20 years, and now I finally got my property back. So that is why if you watch the current Ice Age movie, Ice Age 6, The Adventures of Buck Wild, you will not see the character Sqrat, okay? All right. I'm going to cut the show short today. I'm actually not, my stomach is not feeling well. and I need to go make myself some tea. But those were the stories that I wanted to share with you today. Thank you for being patient with me. Thanks for waiting. Make sure that you are booking your one-on-one sessions. You're welcome, Celeste. The copy of this will be on Facebook and YouTube. Yes, and you'll be able to watch it there. I will see y'all next week. Keep an eye out on my social media for tips and tricks and, funny stories. And if you find any stories that you want me to talk about the show, please DM me. I love it when you guys send me stories, okay? It lets me know what you want me to talk about. Thank you, Jarek. So have a wonderful evening, guys, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. And